there's a whole lot of question marks happening at Louisiana Monroe. The athletic director has quit. He says, I'm out. There are rumors running rampant that he had been asked to slash the athletic department budget that was already the smallest budget in the FBS at $21 million for their entire athletic department. Hell, there are some football programs at Power 4 schools that their $21 million would be pocket change. And the entire athletic department budget at Louisiana Monroe, $21 million. And supposedly he had been asked to cut $9 million. That he was asked to cut $6 million, somehow found a way to get it done. And then the president said, cut 3 more. And now this is part of a bigger issue with college and university funding in the state of Louisiana that I don't necessarily want to get into because this is a sports podcast and not a state politics podcast. But this is one of those times where the two do intersect, and it leads to a college football question mark of just, well, wait, what in the hell is going on there? So the athletic director quits. And now the report is that the head football coach, Bryant Vincent, is going to serve as the interim athletic director at the school until they decide who/what they're going to do. Now, Bryant Vincent is himself this kind of own interesting character in the whole ULM situation because he almost took the job at Jacksonville State once Rich Rod left this past offseason because he felt as if he didn't have the support to compete as the head coach of the Warhawks. So he was told, yes, we are committed to being an FBS program. We are committed to making sure that this can be a competitive program because traditionally, as an FBS program, ULM has not been great / competitive at all. And I don't think that's unfair to say. And if you're the head coach, you obviously aren't going to be like, oh, you know what? I love being the lowest paid coach in FBS, and I also don't have the ability to compete. That's not a great combo. So he was told, given assurances by the school and the administration, hey, we're going to make sure that you have what you need to be a successful head coach. So he stayed. And now he finds himself as potentially the athletic director, which this is not 1989 anymore. The reason that an athletic director exists and the reason that the athletic director isn't basically anymore just the old football coach, the old basketball coach, is because it's a really complex, complicated position to hold. And it's kind of outside of the scope of the old football coach just orders tape to make sure that the volleyball team can make sure they don't roll their ankles. There's more to it than that in 2025. And the idea that the football coach is going to be thrust into the role of interim athletic director on August 5th in the midst of fall camp feels like just a disaster waiting to happen. Then you throw on top the idea that there were rumors that ULM was going to be forced to drop to FCS from FBS, becoming the first school to do so since Idaho did it in 2018. And then they got the teammate they wanted, Louisiana Tech, to join the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt was convinced, fine, yes, Louisiana Tech is the best option for us right now. We'll let them into the conference. And then less than a month later, you are now at a point where reportedly, supposedly, allegedly, ULM is now in a spot where they are cutting essentially in half their already smallest FBS athletic budget. I think you have to beg the question, 1, what the hell is going on there? 2, are you still a viable FBS program? 3, do you have a pathway forward to get out of this mess? Because I would think reportedly cutting $9 million from your $21 million athletic budget would constitute a mess. 4, is the Sun Belt now pissed? Are the Old Dominions, Marshalls, all the Sun Belt East schools who essentially said, yeah, fine. We will appease the Western schools. We will appease Louisiana Monroe and Louisiana Lafayette. We'll do that. We'll let you add your school. Because if it comes out in the next couple of weeks that ULM just can't afford to be at the FBS level anymore, the rest of the Sun Belt's got to be pissed, right? I mean, just furious. Because they were at an uneven number when Texas State left. When Texas State said, we're going to go to the Pac-12, which we've talked about at length in this podcast, they were at an uneven number. And so they said, logically, being at an even number is the best situation for us, so we need to add someone. And there were supposedly some disagreements about who that 14th school was going to be. They settled on Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech has been voted into the conference. They're going to join in 2026, maybe 2027. I don't remember right off the top of my head. It's July 1st. If all of this shakes out and Louisiana Monroe is no longer viable as an FBS program, you now didn't need to add Louisiana Tech. You didn't need to do that because if ULM's going to leave, now you're down to 12 schools, which is an even number, which for a group of 5 conference is probably the ideal number, truthfully. And everything's hunky-dory. But that's not what happened. So I wonder where this leads in the future. Is it a big enough issue that the Eastern Sunbelt schools say, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're not putting up with these idiots in the Western half of the conference. I don't know that it's going to get to that level, but I think it's fair to question if there isn't some of that questioning themselves saying, hey, we just got burnt pretty badly by this because the Sun Belt, I think there are schools in the Sun Belt who believe that the American Athletic Conference is on the verge of collapse. I don't believe that, but I think that there are some pipe dreams out there where Sun Belt schools say, we are not that far away from adding East Carolina and UAB to our ranks. Now, I don't think that that's super likely. I don't think that that's really an option going forward. But if you want to believe in that pipe dream, that's fine. And if the options were wait 18 months, add East Carolina and UAB, or immediately add Louisiana Tech, I know that there's a big portion of the Sun Belt that would choose option number 1. And they weren't afforded that option because they felt as if they had to move right now, especially after being told by Louisiana Monroe, no, we're an FBS program. Don't worry about it. There's nothing to look at here. And now, like 3 weeks later, the question is like, how in the hell are they going to do this? Because I would think that when you are already running a shoestring budget and you're asked to trim that much more and you weren't overly competitive at football and you're still trying to compete at that level, it's going to be really, really, really difficult. Throw in the fact that your football coach is now also going to serve as the interim athletic director. Now, interim athletic director could be 2 weeks. It could be 8 months. That's up for interpretation. It's up for debate. It's a wait and see. But I can't imagine that as a football coach, you are all that interested in being deemed the interim athletic director on August 5th. Now it's a nice spot to be at institutionally, that the university is like, this guy freaking rocks. Like, we think so highly of him. We're going to make him our interim athletic director. The alternative to that is that there's nobody else around that is remotely qualified to be viewed as a candidate to serve in that interim director role. It's all a problem. And I don't know where ULM goes from here, other than there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And to be frank, I don't know that they have the answers to those questions themselves. I think this is something that you need to watch in the next couple of weeks, because we might be in territory of like, hey, there might be a school dropping from FBS to FCS right in front of our eyes. And I think that's something that we'll probably track here on this channel, and something that could be a major news story coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks as we lead into week 0 and week 1. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. I'm Garrett Searight. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you get on great college football content we're pumping out. If you're listening on the podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Huddle.